So, Carrie, tell me, why did you write the book?
I wrote the book to start the podcast.
And what was the inspiration behind it?
The inspiration behind the book of Five F's to a Man's Heart was because when I was younger, and this book is conversations that I had with different men because I was dating a guy years ago and he cheated on me. And I thought I was doing everything that I needed to do to be who he would want. And I wasn't. And I wanted to know what would it take for a woman to be.
So it wasn't necessarily intentional. It just
No,
took
it's not
you
intentional.
on this path of like talking to lots of different. Was it particularly men?
Yeah, because I just wanted to know what would make them content and not cheat. And so, hence, this is the book, Five F's to a Man's Heart, because I wanted to know what it would take. And I think if I wanted to know, I thought other women would want to know. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong. It's just an option. It's things that you can think about. And most of the men whom I've talked to and shared the book, and they go, yeah, that's it. And the question has come up too, why F's? And I said, because when I was growing up and I had relatives and they say, honey, all you got to do is just feed them and fuck them. And I know that's a harsh word. And I've always said, I had this girl to tell me today, she said, women wouldn't say that word. Okay, so I say fornicate. At the time when I was writing this, fornicate didn't come up in this, but I know women who would say it. They was like, no, I like that. And one of the people who helped me edit this book, they came up with the titles because they said, no, do it this way and whatever, it would be more appealing. And she had written a couple books. So I just took their advice. I'm a novice at this. So what you see is real.
And what do the 5 F's stand for?
The 5 F's, and not necessarily in any order, but it's feed them, fuck them, flatter them, be funny, fun, and a friend.
I like that.
And not necessarily, like I said, not necessarily in that order, but I think based on what I was told, men like those are the characteristics. One mentioned faithful. People always come up with faithful. Yes, men want you to be faithful, but at the time when I was asking these questions, faithful meant religious to some people, and so you have to be very careful in when I said faithful because I didn't want them to read into it. And like I said, the book is written more in a journal style because I just took my notes that I found, and some of them I couldn't do because when I started this, there was no computer. And then when the computer came out, you had floppy disk. So when we went from floppy disk to like a disk drive or whatever the thing, I had to print it out. So I had some of the notes that I had printed out. And then you went to CD, and one of the CDs I couldn't pull up. So some of it's from memory, some of it was, and then I had to talk, not re-interview, but I had other conversations with other men, and so some of the new things.
It's interesting that it's such kind of like a short, for lack of a better word, pamphlet of information, but you've had this idea and been writing this for
I know.
a long, long time, maybe.
But I said, men are simple. You don't need a whole lot. It doesn't need to be a thick book. Right. They are simple.
Especially nowadays, like nobody even reads anymore hardly. They just listen to, right. So
and everything's short. Yeah, their attention span is very short. So this is the one I say this, put it in your bathroom.
Yeah.
It's a good read for whatever.
Well, can you start with like one of the F's? Because I feel like as men and women, we kind of want a little more of an explanation or a little more of, a description of like what is behind like the feeding part. I mean, yes, we can all think of feeding or food as love, but I guess what does that mean in a deeper sense to particularly men?
Okay, we'll talk about this one and then we'll end. with feeding emotionally and physically, because some men can cook, so they don't need you to really provide a meal. They may need you emotionally to just to be there when they're having the highs or low time, to be there to just comfort them. Men like to know that, hey, my wife understands that I'm going, or my girlfriend, or who am my partner understands what I'm going through, and I just need them to be there to ride with me through this lull. And then when things are good, to be there too, because we're going to celebrate, and we're good with that. Okay.
Yeah. No,
Thank you.